Deep within a lush forest in West Africa, there lived a clever tortoise. He was known for his intelligence, but also for his greed. One day, the delicious aroma of roasted yams wafted through the air, reaching the tortoise's nose. He followed the smell and soon discovered its source. The birds were having a grand feast in the sky. The tortoise's mouth began to water. He had never seen so much food before. He longed to taste the juicy fruits and savory meats that the birds feasted on. An idea sparked in his clever but greedy mind. The tortoise decided he would trick the birds into sharing their feast with him. The tortoise knew he couldn't fly. He often watched the birds soaring high above and wished he could join them in the sky. So he devised a cunning plan. He spent days thinking and finally came up with a brilliant idea that would involve all the birds. He gathered the birds together and announced, "My feathered friends, I've come up with a brilliant idea. We should have a grand feast, and everyone in the forest should bring food. It will be the most magnificent feast ever seen." The birds were excited about the idea of a grand feast. They chirped and flapped their wings in agreement, imagining the delicious food they would enjoy. But, the tortoise continued, to make it truly special, everyone should bring 2 different kinds of food. One for the birds and one for the animals. This way, everyone will have something to enjoy. The birds agreed, not realizing the tortoise's true intentions. They were too excited about the feast to question his plan. He then revealed his real plan. To make sure everyone brings enough food, we need to send a messenger to the sky. And since I am known for my wisdom, I should be the one to go. This way I can ensure everything is perfectly organized. The birds, trusting in the tortoise's cleverness, agreed to his plan. They believed that the tortoise, known for his wisdom and cunning, had devised a foolproof method for them all to reach the skies together. But there was one problem. Tortoises can't fly. This fact, however, did not deter the tortoise, who was always full of surprising ideas. "Don't worry," the tortoise reassured them. "I just need a few feathers from each of you to make a pair of wings." His voice was calm and confident, convincing the birds of the feasibility of his plan. The birds, being kind and generous, readily plucked a few feathers from their wings and gave them to the tortoise. They were eager to help their friend achieve his dream of flying. With his newfound feathers, the tortoise fashioned a magnificent pair of wings. He meticulously arranged each feather, ensuring they were perfectly aligned. He looked at his reflection in the river and admired his handiwork. The wings were a beautiful mosaic of colors, a testament to the bird's generosity. The birds cheered as the tortoise flapped his wings and soared into the sky, or so they thought. They were overjoyed to see their friend seemingly defy nature. In reality, 2 of the strongest birds were carefully carrying the tortoise, hidden beneath his borrowed wings. The tortoise's clever deception had fooled them all, but for how long? Up, and away went the tortoise, soaring towards the grand feast in the sky. His heart was filled with excitement and anticipation, dreaming of the delicious food that awaited him. As he reached the feast, the birds laid down their precious cargo of food. The table was laden with the finest delicacies, a true feast for the eyes and the stomach. The tortoise, unable to contain his greed, immediately began to devour everything in sight. He ate with such ferocity that the birds could hardly believe their eyes. "This food is for the wisest," he declared, stuffing his face. The birds were furious, their feathers ruffling with anger. They realized the tortoise had tricked them. The shock and betrayal were evident on their faces. They had shared their feathers and helped him carry food, all based on a lie. The trust they had placed in him was shattered. Angered, they flew down and snatched back their feathers. Their once generous hearts now burned with rage. The tortoise, now featherless and exposed, plummeted from the sky. His deceit had led to his downfall, quite literally. Down, down he fell, landing with a thud on a pile of soft mud. The once proud tortoise was now humbled, covered in mud and regret. The birds laughed at the tortoise's misfortune. He had been so focused on his own greed that he hadn't considered the consequences of his actions. The tortoise, covered in mud and shame, crawled back to his home, his shell cracked and his pride shattered. He had learned a valuable lesson that day. Honesty is always the best policy. And so, the story of the tortoise and the birds is passed down through generations. It serves as a reminder to always be truthful and never let greed cloud our judgment.